Have you ever felt it? That low hum, that constant buzz in the back of your mind. It's the sound of more to do, more to see, more to be. You wake up, phone in your hand before you even stand. The screen lights up, the world rushes in, flood of notifications, emails, news alerts. A friend got a new job, someone else on a postcard beach. A headline screams the one thing you're missing. A tidal wave of information. You're told you're behind in a race you didn't know you were running. This isn't just a feeling, it's a design. Everything around us is built to make us want. Apps on your phone, ads on the street, conversations you have. They whisper, what you have is not quite enough. You need the newer phone. You need the better car. You need the bigger house. You need to be fitter, richer, more popular. So you start chasing. You scroll and you swipe, looking for that next hit of inspiration, that next purchase, that next goal. You're on a treadmill that speeds up while the finish line keeps moving. It's exhausting, isn't it? We've been sold a story. Happiness is a destination. Arrive once you've collected enough achievements, enough possessions, enough likes. So we treat life like a checklist. Get the degree, check. Find the partner, check. Buy the house, check. But each check fades. The hum returns, louder. We're chasing a ghost, the promise of a perfect life, just one more click away. This chase leaves us empty and dissatisfied. It's a paradox. More access to information, more opportunities, more conveniences. Yet we feel more anxious and restless, caught in a cycle of desire and disappointment. But what if happiness isn't something you chase? What if it's something you find right where you are? What if the secret isn't getting more but wanting less? Not giving up, but tuning out the noise and listening to a different frequency. Just breathing, really. Let's talk about a different word. Not happiness, but contentment. It's a quieter word. It doesn't shout, it breathes. Happiness is the loud party, the fireworks, the mountain peak. It's a thrilling but temporary high. Contentment is the warm cup of tea on a rainy day. It's the feeling of a job well done. It's the quiet satisfaction of knowing you have enough. You are enough, right here, right now. It isn't about a lack of ambition. It's about finding peace in the present moment, even as you work towards the future. It's a steady warmth, not a fleeting spark. Imagine your life not as a race, but as a garden. You don't just sprint through it, grabbing at every flower. You tend to it. You water the seeds. You pull the weeds. You appreciate the small blossoms as they appear. Contentment is the soil from which true, lasting joy can grow. It's the foundation. Chasing happiness is like trying to catch butterflies. The more you run after them, the more they fly away. But when you build a beautiful garden, the butterflies come to you. You don't have to chase them. They just arrive. That is the power of contentment. But how do you cultivate this garden in a world that wants you to keep running? It sounds nice, but is it practical? The answer is yes. It doesn't require a dramatic life change. You don't have to sell all your possessions. Move to a monastery. Unless that's your thing, of course. It starts with small, simple, and deliberate actions. Tiny habits you can weave into your daily life almost without thinking. These habits act like anchors, holding you steady in the storm of constant wanting. They create pockets of calm in the chaos of your day. In this journey together, we're not going to talk about a 10-step plan to overhaul your entire existence. That sounds stressful. Instead, I'm going to share just a few powerful, easy-to-try habits. These aren't complicated theories. They are practical tools for your real life. We'll explore why our brains are so wired to chase more. Then I'll give you simple, actionable ways to find the quiet promise of enough. This is about working with your mind, not against it. It's about finding a rhythm that feels good, a pace that is sustainable, and a joy that is yours to keep. Let's begin. So, Why is it so hard to stop chasing? Why does that new phone feel so urgent? Why does that next promotion feel so urgent? The answer isn't a weakness in your character. It's chemistry. It's a tiny molecule in your brain called dopamine. You've probably heard of dopamine. It's often called the pleasure molecule. That's not quite right. More accurate, the anticipation molecule. It drives you to seek. It drives you to explore. It drives you to want. It fires up before the reward, in the moments leading up to it. It's the thrill of the hunt, not the prize. Scrolling through an online store, dopamine spikes with each new item. Your brain buzzes with possibility. Imagining unboxing that gadget. Imagining the compliments on that shirt. The moment you buy it, pleasure is real, but the chase is the addiction. This creates a feedback loop. You see something you want. Your brain releases dopamine. You feel a jolt of excitement. You take action to get it. The cycle repeats, training your brain to chase the next reward. It helped our ancestors survive, hunt for food, find better shelter, seek a mate. That dopamine hit pushed exploration and improvement. Now the modern world hijacks that wiring. We aren't hunting berries. We're hunting bargains on Amazon. A like on your photo, a new email in your inbox, a limited time offer banner. All trigger the same primal urge. The result? Constant, low-grade anticipation. Phones become portable dopamine slot machines. Swiping down to refresh, pulling the lever, hoping for new content, hoping for a new message, hoping for validation. Each tiny reward reinforces the behavior. It's a powerful, almost invisible force keeping us wanting. We're not weak. We're wired for a different world. Our modern environment is built to exploit that wiring. Now, let's add another layer to this. It's not just our brain chemistry at play, it's our social nature. We are fundamentally social creatures. We have a deep instinctual need to know where we stand within our tribe. For our ancestors, being accepted by the group was a matter of life and death. Being cast out meant almost certain doom. So we developed a highly sensitive internal radar for social cues. We are constantly, and often unconsciously, comparing ourselves to others to figure out if we fit in, if we measure up, if we are safe within the pack. In the past, our tribe was the small village we lived in. The pool of comparison was limited. Today, our village is the entire world, curated and filtered through our screens. You see a friend's perfectly framed vacation photo, a colleague's shiny new promotion on LinkedIn, an influencer's seemingly flawless life. Your brain doesn't register that this is just a single, carefully selected snapshot. It processes it as data. They have that. I do not. I am falling behind. This creates what psychologists call upward social comparison. It's a recipe for dissatisfaction. When we constantly compare ourselves to people who appear to be doing better, we inevitably feel worse about ourselves. It fuels envy, it fuels inadequacy, it creates a persistent sense that we are not enough. Likes, follower counts, job titles, they have become the new metrics of our social standing. A like is more than just a click. It's a social signal that says, you are approved, you belong. The absence of likes can feel like a quiet rejection, triggering that ancient fear of being cast out from the tribe. So we start performing. We curate our lives for public consumption, hoping for the same validation. We post the perfect photo, share the good news, hide the messy, difficult parts of our lives. We enter a silent competition nobody can ever truly win. The more we look at others, the more we feel we need to acquire to keep up. It's a vicious cycle. The comparison fuels the wanting fuels the chase leaves us feeling more disconnected and anxious than ever. We are chasing a reflection in a funhouse mirror, distorted, and always just out of reach. Let's say you do it. You chase that thing, and you get it. You land the dream job. You buy the beautiful car. You get the 1,000 likes on your post. For a moment, it feels amazing. You're flooded with a sense of accomplishment and happiness. You finally reach the finish line you were sprinting towards. But then, something strange happens. The feeling starts to fade. The new car just becomes your car. The dream job just becomes your job, with its own set of daily frustrations. The initial joy wears off, and your level of happiness returns right back to where it was before. This phenomenon has a name: the hedonic treadmill, or hedonic adaptation. It's the human tendency to quickly return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major positive or negative life events. Our emotional system is designed to adapt. The intense joy you feel from a new achievement is like a big spike on a heart monitor, but your baseline emotional state eventually flattens out again. This is another survival mechanism. If we stayed euphoric forever after finding a good meal, we'd never be motivated to find the next one. Adaptation keeps us moving and striving. The problem is that we mistake that temporary spike of joy for permanent happiness. We think, if I could just get that thing, I would be happy for good. But our brain adapts to the new reality with surprising speed. The luxury that was once a thrilling desire becomes the new normal, the new baseline. So what do? We start looking for the next thing. We reason that if the last achievement didn't bring lasting happiness, maybe a bigger one will. We need a faster car. We need a more important job title. We need a house with one more bedroom. We get back on the treadmill and start running again, chasing a new goal we believe will finally be the one. This is the very definition of running in place. You're expending a tremendous amount of energy, but you're not actually getting any closer to your destination of lasting contentment. Each achievement simply raises the bar for what you need to feel satisfied. It's a frustrating and exhausting game to play. The hedonic treadmill ensures that the external markers of success, money, status, possessions, are a fundamentally unreliable source of long-term well-being. Chasing them is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. You can pour more and more in, but it will never truly feel full. This internal wiring, the dopamine loop, social comparison, and the hedonic treadmill, doesn't exist in a vacuum. It is amplified and encouraged by the very culture we live in. We are swimming in a sea of messages that all point in one direction: more. Modern capitalism is built on a foundation of manufactured desire. For the economy to grow, we have to keep buying things. And for us to keep buying things, we have to be convinced that what we currently have is insufficient, outdated, or simply not good enough. It's a system that profits from our dissatisfaction. Think about the language of advertising. It's never just about the product. It's about the life the product will supposedly give you. This car won't just get you from A to B. It will bring you freedom and adventure. This watch isn't just for telling time. It's a symbol of your success and legacy. This soda isn't just a drink. It's pure happiness in a can. These stories tap directly into our deepest insecurities and aspirations. They create an artificial gap between our current life and a better, happier life, and then they present their product as the bridge to cross that gap. It is a masterful and relentless psychological operation. This culture of never enough extends beyond just shopping. It has seeped into our work lives, our relationships, and our personal development. We are encouraged to hustle, to optimize, to constantly be productive, and to monetize our hobbies. Rest is often seen as laziness, and satisfaction is mistaken for a lack of ambition. The message is clear. If you are not constantly striving for more, you are failing. This pressure turns life into a project to be managed and improved, rather than an experience to be lived and enjoyed. It leaves no room for simply being. And so, we internalize this cultural script. We become our own harshest critics, our own relentless taskmasters. We chase more not just because our brains are wired for it, or because we see others doing it, but because we have been taught to believe that this is the only way to live. We feel a constant, nagging pressure to upgrade every aspect of our existence. The chase feels urgent and necessary, a moral imperative even. But it's a game that is rigged against us. It leaves us feeling tired, anxious, and perpetually empty, always reaching for a horizon that we can never touch. So we know the machine is designed to keep us running. The dopamine, the social comparison, the cultural pressure. It's a powerful combination. It creates an automatic, almost unconscious reaction. You feel a pang of boredom, and you reach for your phone. You see an ad for a new gadget, and you immediately start thinking about buying it. The feeling and the action are so tightly linked that there seems to be no space between them. The urge happens, and you just react. This is where our first habit comes in. It's the simplest, most fundamental tool we have. It's the habit of creating a pause. It is the practice of noticing. This first habit isn't about fighting the urge or denying the feeling. Trying to fight your own brain is exhausting, and it usually doesn't work. Instead, it's about seeing the urge for what it is, a temporary burst of energy, a chemical signal, a thought passing through your mind. It's about creating just a tiny bit of space between the feeling and your reaction. Imagine a wave building in the ocean. You can't stop the wave from forming, but you don't have to let it knock you over. You can learn to see it coming, brace yourself, and let it wash past you. Noticing is the act of seeing that wave before it hits. The goal here is mindfulness, but let's not get intimidated by that word. Mindfulness isn't about emptying your mind or sitting in a silent cave for hours. At its core, it is simply the practice of paying attention to the present moment, on purpose, without judgment. It's about becoming an observer of your own mind. When that urge to scroll, to shop, or to compare arises, you don't immediately act on it. You don't immediately judge yourself for having it. You just notice. You say, "Ah, there it is, that feeling again." This simple act of acknowledgement is incredibly powerful. It changes your relationship with the urge. By creating that small gap, you move from being a passenger driven by your impulses to being the driver at the wheel. You are no longer on autopilot. You are present. In that moment of pause, you give yourself a choice. You can still choose to follow the urge, but now it's a conscious decision, not a blind reaction. And often, just by shining the light of your awareness on the urge, you'll find that its power begins to fade. It's like a monster that seems terrifying in the dark, but looks a lot less scary when you turn on the light. The pause is your light switch. Section 2. The 3-breath reset. Okay, this all sounds good in theory. Create a pause. Notice the urge. But how do you actually do it in the middle of a busy day when your brain is screaming at you to check that notification? We need a concrete, practical first step. A mini ritual you can do anywhere, anytime, in under a minute. This is the 3-breath reset. It is the physical anchor for the mental pause. It is so simple you might be tempted to dismiss it, but its effect is profound. It's a pattern interrupt for your brain's automatic programming, using your body to calm your mind. Here's how it works. The next time you feel that familiar pull, the urge to mindlessly scroll, the pang of envy from a social media post, the sudden desire to buy something you don't need. Stop, just for a second. Before you react, take 3 slow, deliberate breaths. That's it. Inhale deeply through your nose, feeling your belly expand. Hold it for a moment. Then, exhale slowly through your mouth, as if you're blowing out a candle. Do this 3 times. Focus all your attention on the physical sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. What does this do? First, it physically interrupts the stress response. When you feel an urge or anxiety, your breathing often becomes shallow and quick. This signals to your nervous system that you're in a fight or flight mode. By consciously slowing your breath, you are sending a message back to your brain that says, "Everything is okay. There is no emergency here." This helps to calm the frantic energy of the urge. It lowers your heart rate and brings you out of that reactive, panicked state. It's a biological reset button that you have access to at all times. It's your body's built-in braking system. Second, the 3-breath reset forces you into the present moment. You can't breathe in the past, and you can't breathe in the future. Your breath is always happening right now. By focusing your attention on this simple physical act, you pull your mind away from the swirling thoughts of, I need, what if? You anchor yourself in the reality of the here and now. In that small space you've created with just 3 breaths, the urge is still there, but it's no longer the only thing in your universe. You've created enough room to look at it instead of being consumed by it. Section 3. From feeling to words. How to name your urges. You've taken your 3 breaths. You've created a small pocket of calm. Now what? The urge is still there, maybe buzzing a little less intensely, but it's present. The next step is to give it a name. This is the second part of the habit. You notice, and then you name. It's the act of putting a label on the internal experience you are having. Instead of letting it be this big, vague, overwhelming feeling, you define it with simple, neutral words. You are moving from a state of being in the emotion to observing the emotion. You are translating the raw data of feeling into the language of thought. The practice is straightforward. In that moment of pause, you simply say to yourself, this is the urge to scroll. This is envy. This is the feeling of wanting. You can even get more specific. This is the boredom feeling that makes me want to open Instagram. Or, this is the anxiety that makes me want to shop. The key is to be a neutral reporter, not a judge. You're not saying, ugh, I'm so weak for wanting this. You're simply stating the facts of your inner world. A feeling of wanting is present. It's like being a scientist observing a phenomenon in a lab. You're just noting what is there. This act of naming does something magical. It externalizes the feeling. It takes the urge from being who you are to being something you are experiencing. There's a huge difference between I am anxious and I am noticing a feeling of anxiety. The first statement is an identity. The second is an observation. When you name the urge, you create a separation between you, the conscious observer, and the urge itself. You realize that you are the sky, and the urge is just a cloud passing through. The cloud might be dark and stormy, but it isn't the whole sky, and you know that eventually it will pass. So let's put it all together in a quick exercise. Right now, think of something you often crave. Maybe it's a snack. Checking your phone? Thinking about a purchase? Just bring it to mind. Now, take one slow breath in and out. As you do, silently label the feeling. This is the urge for a cookie. This is the pull to check my email. This is the wanting of new shoes. Just notice how it feels to name it. It doesn't have to disappear. The goal isn't to make it vanish instantly. The goal is to see it clearly, to call it by its name, and to recognize that it is separate from you. Section 4. The Science of Labeling. This practice of notice and name might sound a bit like a New Age Jedi mind trick, but it is firmly grounded in neuroscience. Researchers have studied this process. They call it affect labeling. Scientists at places like UCLA used fMRI scanners. Participants were shown upsetting images, then asked to choose a word that described how they felt. The results were striking. The simple act of putting a feeling into words changes how the brain processes it. Here's what happens inside your head. When you experience a strong emotion, fear, anger, a powerful craving, a part of your brain called the amygdala fires up. The amygdala is like your brain's alarm system. It screams, danger, do something. It makes urges feel powerful and urgent. But when you consciously label the emotion, when you say, this is anxiety, this is wanting, you engage the prefrontal cortex. This is the more modern, rational part of your brain, responsible for logic, reason, impulse control. The science shows that when the prefrontal cortex lights up, it sends a calming signal back down to the amygdala. Hey, I see the situation. I've got this. You can stand down. As a result, the activity in the amygdala decreases. The emotional alarm bells quiet down. This is why naming your feelings makes them feel less intense. You are literally turning down the volume on your brain's emotional reaction. You're shifting from a primal, reactive brain state to a more mindful, responsive one. You are using your higher brain to regulate your lower brain. This is the hard science behind the old wisdom of a problem named is a problem half solved. By simply giving a name to the chaotic storm of sensations inside you, you tame it. You give it structure and meaning, which makes it far less threatening and overwhelming. Affect labeling is a form of emotional regulation, but it's not about suppression or ignoring your feelings. It's the opposite. It's about turning toward your feelings with curiosity and precision. You are acknowledging the feeling fully, and in that very act of acknowledgement, you are taking back your power from it. So how do you make this a habit? The world gives you endless opportunities to practice. Your daily life is the perfect training ground. You don't need to set aside a special time for it. The moments to practice will find you, guaranteed. The practice ground is the line at the grocery store when you feel the urge to pull out your phone. It's when you're sitting in traffic, feeling frustrated and impatient. It's when you're scrolling through social media and you feel that familiar pang of comparison. Each of these moments is an invitation to practice, an invitation to pause, breathe, and name. Start small. Don't try to catch every single urge. That would be overwhelming. Instead, pick one recurring urge to focus on for a week. Maybe it's the urge to check your email first thing in the morning. Maybe it's the 3 p.m. craving for a sugary snack. Make a gentle intention. For this week, when I feel the urge to check my email before I've had my coffee, I will practice. When the moment comes, you'll be ready. You'll feel the pull, and you'll remember your intention. Then, you simply execute the habit. 3 breaths, followed by the silent label. This is the urge to check email. Remember, the goal is not to win against the urge. It's not about successfully resisting it every single time. The victory is in the noticing. The victory is in the pause. Even if you take 3 breaths, name the urge, and then decide to go ahead and check your email anyway, you have still practiced the habit. You have still inserted a moment of consciousness into what was once an unconscious loop. You have strengthened the muscle of awareness. Over time, that muscle gets stronger. The pause gets a little easier. The urge's grip gets a little weaker. This is how change happens. Not through a dramatic act of willpower, but through the quiet, steady repetition of a small new habit. Each time you notice a name, you are ever so slightly rewiring your brain. You are carving a new neural pathway, a pathway of awareness and choice, right next to the old, worn-out pathway of automatic reaction. At first, the old path is easier to take, but with practice, the new path becomes clearer and more familiar. You are not chasing contentment. You are building it, one breath and one named urge at a time. Okay, so we've learned to pause. We've learned to notice and name the urge to chase more. That's a defensive move. It helps us handle the constant pull of dissatisfaction, but we also need an offensive strategy. We need to actively cultivate the feeling of contentment. This brings us to our second habit, building small rituals. When you hear ritual, you might think of a grand ceremony, but really, something much simpler. Tiny, intentional actions you weave into your day. Right here, right now. Things are good. I have enough. A ritual is different from a routine. A routine is automatic, like brushing your teeth. It's efficient. A ritual is a routine filled with meaning and attention. It's an action performed with purpose, taking an ordinary moment and making it extraordinary by paying attention. Instead of rushing through coffee while scrolling emails, a ritual is taking the first 2 minutes to sit and savor the coffee. The warmth of the mug, the aroma, the taste. That small shift turns a mindless routine into intentional peace. A moment of contentment. Why does this work? Our brains love patterns and signals. Repeating a small, enjoyable action trains your brain to feel calm and satisfied. It becomes a trigger for contentment. These rituals act as anchors through your day. Little islands of sanity in the chaotic sea of modern life. They don't require more time or money, they just require your presence. They tell you life isn't just a to-do list to be conquered. It's an experience to be savored, moment by moment. Think of life as music. The chase is a frantic, noisy drum solo. No melody. Small rituals are the quiet, recurring melodies. They are the notes that make you pause and feel. They create a rhythm of gratitude and presence. A practical, hands-on way to build enough from the inside out, not search for it outside. They are your personal secret signals of sufficiency. So let's get practical. What does one of these small rituals look like? One of the most powerful and simple rituals is what I call the gratitude pause. It's a deliberate moment to notice something good, no matter how small, and to feel thankful for it. This isn't about writing long lists in a journal, unless you want to. Find a specific, recurring moment in your day and attach a tiny act of gratitude to it. For example, your first sip of water in the morning. Pause and think, I am grateful for this clean water. That's it. Link the ritual to an existing habit. Habit stacking. Use something you already do as the trigger. Pouring your coffee, putting on your shoes, turning off your computer at the end of the day. Stack the new ritual on top of the old one. After I pour my coffee, I take one breath and think of one thing I'm grateful for. Makes it so much easier to remember. The old habit becomes the trigger for the new ritual. Simple but powerful life hack for building behavior. This practice fights the brain's negativity bias. Our brains notice threats, problems, and what's missing. It's a survival mechanism. You survived by noticing the tiger in the bushes, not by admiring the sunset. The gratitude pause gently retrains your focus, like a bicep curl for your positivity muscle. Look for things to be grateful for. You start noticing more. You see the good already present, not just what's lacking. Start incredibly small. Don't pressure yourself. Just notice the comfortable chair you're sitting in, the fact your car started this morning, the funny text a friend sent you, the taste of your lunch. These things are always there. We rush past them. The ritual puts a brief spotlight on them. A microdose of contentment. Do it consistently. Microdoses add up and shift your baseline mood, making you more resilient to the pull of more. Here's another powerful ritual, designed for a world that constantly splinters our attention. I call it single thing focus. We live in an epidemic of multitasking. We eat while we scroll. We listen to a podcast while we answer emails. We talk to our family while we watch TV. We think we're being efficient, but what we're actually doing is giving a tiny fraction of our attention to everything, and our full attention to nothing. This constant switching depletes our mental energy and robs us of the joy of full engagement. The ritual of single-thing focus is the antidote. It's the practice of doing one thing at a time with your full attention. Choose one small activity in your day to dedicate this ritual to. A perfect candidate is eating a meal. For just 5 minutes of your lunch break, put your phone away. Turn off the TV. Close the laptop. Just eat. Pay attention to the colors on your plate, the textures in your mouth, the different flavors. Notice the act of chewing and swallowing. You might be surprised at how different food tastes when you actually taste it. You are taking a routine act, eating, and transforming it into a rich, sensory experience. A ritual of nourishment and presence. It's a 5-minute vacation from the noise. Another great opportunity for this ritual is listening. The next time you're having a conversation with someone, your partner, your child, a colleague, try the ritual of single-thing focus. Put your phone down, angle your body toward them, make eye contact, and just listen. Don't think about what you're going to say next. Don't formulate your brilliant response. Just receive what they are saying. This not only makes the other person feel truly heard and valued, but it also anchors you in the present moment. It turns a simple conversation into a profound act of connection. This ritual of single-thing focus helps to rebuild your attention muscle. In an age of constant distraction, the ability to focus deeply on one thing is a superpower. By practicing with small, simple activities, you strengthen your capacity for concentration. This has benefits that spill over into all areas of your life, especially your work. More importantly, it brings a sense of richness and depth to your everyday experiences. Life stops being a blur and starts becoming a series of distinct moments you can fully inhabit. You find contentment not by adding more things to your life, but by bringing more of yourself to the things already in it. Try it and, well, see how it changes things. Now for our third and final habit. This might sound like the opposite of freedom, but it's actually the key to it. We live in a world of infinite choice, infinite content to consume, infinite products to buy, infinite ways to spend our time. This sounds great, but it's also paralyzing. Psychologists call it decision fatigue. Too many choices overwhelm us. Deciding constantly what to do, what to watch, what to buy is exhausting. It drains our willpower and leaves us anxious and dissatisfied. Setting limits is not deprivation, it's curation. It's being the wise editor of your life. Decide what matters, then build fences to protect it. A limit is a pre-made decision that removes 1,000 future decisions. Instead of deciding every night whether to watch another episode on Netflix, set a simple rule. I don't watch screens after 10 p.m. That choice is made once, freeing you from nightly willpower battles. It creates a protected space for reading, talking, resting. Limits create freedom. Think of a river. A river without banks is a swamp. Banks give direction, power, and speed. Limits are the banks for your time, your money, your attention. They give life shape and purpose. Saying no to what's unimportant creates a powerful yes for what matters. A limit on spending frees money for a real goal. A limit on social media frees time for a hobby. A limit on work frees energy for family. This habit pairs with the first two habits. Noticing and naming urges shows where to set limits. If scrolling drains you, set a phone limit. Small rituals fill the space limits create. Instead of scrolling at night, you read a chapter of a book. The habits support each other. Limits make space for what truly fulfills. They are guardrails to contentment. So, how do you set these limits without feeling like you're in a prison of your own making? The key is to be both clear and kind. The first step is to identify one area where you feel overwhelmed or out of control. Is it your screen time? Your spending? Your work hours? Don't try to fix everything at once. Pick one. Let's say it's social media. You feel like it's eating up your time and making you feel bad. The next step is to set a simple, specific, and realistic rule. A bad rule is, I will use social media less. It's too vague. A good rule is, I will not open Instagram until after lunch. I will set a 20-minute timer when I use TikTok. Once you have your rule, the next step is to make it easy to follow. You have to be the architect of your environment. If your limit is about screen time, don't rely on willpower alone. That's a losing battle. Use technology to fight technology. Use the app timers on your phone. Set your screen to grayscale during certain hours. Move the distracting apps off your home screen and into a folder on the last page. Make it harder to do the thing you want to do less of. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of intelligence. You are setting up your future self for success. You are making the right choice, the easy choice. Now, what happens when you break the rule? Because you will. This is crucial. Be kind to yourself. This is not about perfection. It's about direction. If you set a limit not to check email after 7 p.m. and you find yourself doing it at 9 p.m., don't beat yourself up. That just creates a cycle of guilt and shame. which often leads to giving up entirely. Instead, just notice it. Ah, I broke my rule. Then, gently bring yourself back. Close the email. The next day, you try again. Every time you get back on track, you are strengthening the habit. The goal is progress, not a perfect record. Finally, remember your why. A limit can feel restrictive if you forget the reason behind it. Remind yourself what the limit is giving you. I am setting this limit on my spending, not to deprive myself, but to save for that trip I've been dreaming of. I am setting this limit on work emails not to be a slacker, but to be fully present with my kids at dinner. Frame the limit not as a no to something you want, but as a yes to something you want more. When you connect your limits to your deepest values, they stop feeling like restrictions and start feeling like acts of self-care. They become the loving boundaries that protect your peace. So, here we are. We've journeyed through the noise. We've looked under the hood at the engine of our own minds. The dopamine hits, the social comparisons, the hedonic treadmill that keeps us running in place. We've seen how our culture keeps us chasing happiness just out of reach. It's a rigged game. But the good news is, you don't have to play. You can choose a different path. A quieter path, the path of contentment. It begins with a single, small step. Repeat it. 3 simple, powerful habits are your toolkit. First, notice and name. This is your defense, the power of the pause. Take 3 deep breaths to create space between urge and action. Tame the urge by giving it a name. Shift from being controlled by feelings to being aware of them. You are the sky, not the storm cloud. See the wave coming and let it pass. Take back control from the autopilot. Second, small rituals. Your offense. Infuse ordinary moments, your morning coffee, a meal, a conversation, with presence and meaning. Practice a gratitude pause. Practice single thing focus. These rituals are anchors, small recurring melodies that bring rhythm and richness. Third, setting graceful limits. Protect your peace. Become the wise editor of your life. Set clear, kind boundaries around your time, your money, your attention. Use technology to help, not distract. Limits are liberation, not restriction. They are the powerful yes to what matters and the gentle no to what doesn't. They are the riverbanks that give your life direction. These 3 habits. Notice and name. Small rituals. Graceful limits are not a magic pill. They won't give you a sudden, permanent state of bliss. That was never the promise. The promise is something quieter, steadier, and more real. It's the promise of steady change. Contentment is not a destination you arrive at. It's a garden you tend to. It's a muscle you build. And like any muscle, it grows stronger with consistent practice, not with one heroic effort. It's about repetition over perfection. It's about progress, not a flawless record. This is a practice for the rest of your life. So please, do not feel overwhelmed. Don't feel like you have to implement all of this tomorrow. That's the old way of thinking, the all-or-nothing approach that leads to burnout. The journey to contentment is gentle. It is forgiving. It understands that you will have days where you get caught in the chase again. That's okay. That's human. The practice is not about never falling off the path. It's about how gracefully you step back on. It's about noticing when you're running, and then kindly, gently, choosing to walk again. The beauty of this is that contentment is always available to you. It is here, in this present moment. It's not in the future, after you get the next thing. It's right here. It grows with practice, with each conscious breath, with each named urge, with each small moment of gratitude. It's a quiet reassurance that you have enough. You are enough right now. The noise of the world will always be there, trying to convince you otherwise. But now, you have the tools to turn down the volume and listen to the quieter, wiser voice within. So here is my invitation to you. Let's not make this a grand plan for someday. Let's make it real, right now. Choose one thing. Just one, the smallest possible action. Maybe it's the 3-breath reset. Maybe it's deciding to put your phone away while you drink your next cup of tea. Maybe it's naming the next urge you feel. Pick one tiny habit and just try it. Not forever, just this once. See how it feels. This is where it begins, not with a shout, but with a whisper, not with a chase, but with a pause. Begin.